Hi there and welcome to WB Fine Woodworking. I'm Don. This is a shop update for October of 2019. Yes, I'm alive and well. I know I haven't been on YouTube much lately, but I am doing fine. We've had just some rough weather and I've been busy. I'd like to thank Rob over at Make Things for checking up on me. He checked up on me and asked how I was doing on an Instagram comment the other day, and I really appreciate that, Rob. We've had a real warm, humid end of the summer this year, and it just hasn't been conducive to coming out in the shop and working. I don't like sweating all over my tools and the wood I'm working on. The other day I was at the bandsaw making some cuts on some pieces that I'm going to be turning on the lathe. And as I was making one of the cuts, a big drop of sweat dropped right on my glasses. And yes, I was okay, it was safe because my hands were far apart. But if I'd been making some fine cuts on the bandsaw, that might not have been too safe. So I try to avoid the shop when it gets real humid. I hate getting rust drops on my tools from my sweat. Pam and I have been also doing some different things to get out and around the town and places that we can walk. The other day we went to the safari park that's close by here and had a lot of fun. Well, don't blink or you're going to miss it. The safari park features this cheetah run just about every afternoon. You'll notice that there's a companion dog with the cheetah. This Labrador Retriever and the cheetah grew up together. Cheetahs by themselves are very skittish animals, and they found that the dogs help them with their confidence. So the two live together all the time. Now how about another chance at the cheetah run? This time it was filmed in slow motion. Now for another chance at full speed. Now I need something fast like that in my shop. I also got a chance to attend the fall seminar given by the San Diego Fine Woodworkers Association. The guest this year was Gary Wagowski. Gary went through all the steps that were necessary to make a bookshelf that had some inlay work. It was quite a complicated piece, but it was very well done. We've also had a very busy dog show season this year. I took Keikos out to one show and he managed to get best of breed under a very well-known and highly respected judge. The judge also awarded Lexi, our little girl, her first best of opposite sex to best in breed win. Lexi just finished her championship at the show before this one, and this was her first time out as a champion. As you can imagine, the dog shows and working with the dogs keeps us very busy. And now for the elephant in the room. Yes, the workbench. I've been working on it. I have the top on it, at least temporarily right now. There are a few things that I need to work out with this. One thing is to rip it down to width And in order to do that, I need the table saw. But right now, the table saw is being used for a turning project. I have all of my turning tools and equipment spread out on the table saw because it's right across from the lathe, and that's a good place to stage those for right now until I get myself a good lathe cart. The other thing I need to work out on the workbench is the front rail. The front rail and the front chop of the vise need to be up on top of my drill press table so that I can drill the holes for the Veritas twin screw vise. And I haven't quite figured out exactly how that's going to happen. I'm sure I'm going to have Pam come out and help me out, but I am working on a solution to that, and I'll be getting back to that as soon as this turning project is done. I think when we last left the workbench, I had bought the piece of plywood. That's now been cut to width and also cut to length. I used my new Woodsmith square to square up the cut. This is the plywood cut to width. I also cut it to length. Once I had the two layers temporarily on the base, I cut them to their final width. Since I bought my sauce up back in 2007, the top has never been cleaned or waxed. I'm sure you've noticed how dirty it was in some of my videos. For part of this process, I used this sander that my dad bought way back in the early 60s. It was perfect for the job, and I'll do a video showing the process that I used. After the surface was clean, I waxed it, and you can see here the difference between what I started with and what I ended up with. The table saw top is now very smooth, and boards slide across it very easily. As I mentioned before, my table saw is now full of things. I'm staging all the supplies that I need for the turning project that I'm doing on the lathe. I also have back here the turning project that I just completed. This is a shoehorn. I just finished this. The video should have been out this week, but it's been delayed. And the reason it's been delayed is I've been having some computer issues again. I mentioned out in the shop that I'm having some issues with my computer. The issue comes with storage on the hard drive for my Mac. It has 1 terabyte. Now, I thought that would be plenty, but with all the video work that I'm doing, that's not enough space to store all the video work that I'm doing. So I have purchased an extra hard drive, external hard drive that I'm now using, and I'm hoping that that will help with the issue. I also purchased a piece of software called Clean My Mac X, and that helped me get rid of some of the files that I had that weren't necessary on the Mac. I'm not recommending that to anyone. I don't know what the long-term ramifications of using that software is, but it was helpful for me to get rid of some files that I don't need. I was able to get out the video on the casters for the workbench. I put that video out in 2 different styles. One just had music in the background, and you could watch me put the casters together and put them on the bench. And the other one I explained in what I called a detailed how-to. It turns out that the numbers are 153 views for the music edition and 86 views for the one where I explained the detailed how-to. So it looks like many of you like the music background videos, so I'll be producing more of those as time goes on. I am remaking the shoehorn video. I lost that footage. I don't know what happened. I guess when I ran out of room on the hard drive, it just stored nothing instead of the video. So I am remaking that. And when you see that video, you'll enjoy the t-shirt that I'm wearing on that. In fact, speaking of t-shirts, in this video that you're watching, I'm going to be wearing 2 different t-shirts because I made it on 2 different days. One day I made it in a red t-shirt, and that happened to be the day when I thought that I wasn't going to be able to solve my computer problem, and I wasn't even sure if that video was going to be released or not. And so today I was able to get out of the shop after fixing the computer. I spent the bulk of the day yesterday trying to get the computer issue solved. And now that that's solved, I'm able to put this video out. So I'm hoping that the problem's solved. We'll see. While I'm at the computer, I'd like to remind you that I do have a website. The URL is wbfinewoodworking.com. The website does have a menu bar near the top, and you can find out a lot of information about me and projects I've done in the past. All my YouTube videos are listed on the website too. I also have a blog. This is where I can talk about woodworking, what's going on in the woodworking today, some of the trends. I also give an update of what's happening here in the shop. Sometimes I can't do that in video form, so I use the blog. This is my current project that I'm working on, turning handles. I'm not going to say what kind of handles I'm turning, but I am turning some handles. And I'm using zebra wood here. The zebra wood blanks are very nice. I'm enjoying turning the zebra wood. The video on this, because they're Christmas presents, won't be out until sometime in January. I also came up with a new light for my lathe. This is actually a sewing machine light, and it turned out to be really a handy little light to have. It has a magnet that sticks right on the lathe, and I'm able to see a little bit better when I turn. Another thing that I came up with is an RPM meter for the lathe. This will not get installed for this project. It's a future project that I need to do. I have to get a little box to put this meter in and the electronics that go with it. And I also need to get some electronic connectors for this. But this will be a future project for me. And I will be probably mounting it either here on the lathe or maybe up here. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to mount it on the lathe, but that's going to be a future project coming up. I've heard other turners talk about this Mirka Abernet sanding mesh. So I decided I was going to try it on this project and see if I liked it better than sandpaper. I decided to start out with 120 grit on this zebra wood and see how well it works. No, I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot of sanding. I will report back to you though after I've used this Abernet sanding mesh on this project. You may have noticed in this sanding sequence that I'm not wearing any jewelry. I'm not wearing my normal ring or my bracelets. I was watching a video by Mike Walt from the UK the other day titled Wood Turning Beginner's Basic Safety. In the video, Mike pointed out some of the dangers of wearing jewelry in the workshop, especially when turning. So in the future, I'm going to try to remember to leave my jewelry in the bedroom and not wear it out in the workshop. The sign behind me, by the way, if you can see that back there, is by Chris over at Third Coast Craftsman. It's actually signed by Chris and his dog Oots. And I thank Chris for making those available. I bought one from him. Chris did the original using wood blocks that he cut himself. I'm sorry for all the issues that I've had and my delay of not getting on the channel. It's just been a hot, humid summer. I'm hoping to have money for a mini split. My wife and I have been looking at that account, and I think we'll have enough for the mini split and some kind of air cleaner to go with it to come into the shop sometime in January or February. That's what we're working out. We have to talk to our AC guy. He's going to install it. No, I'm not going to install it myself. We will have it professionally installed. If you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up down below. I thank you all for your comments and your questions, and I thank you all very much for watching.